All right, everyone, welcome back. This video, we're gonna make the sling for the trebuchet. So if you haven't gone to the school and picked up a piece of fabric, or if you just have a pair of old denim jeans, something like denim is really good, canvas, something along those lines, something that's flexible enough to be able to flex as we shoot, but not so loose that it can't hold on to the projectile. Denim is kind of the perfect in between, too loose and too stiff. It needs to be 4 inches long. So I'm gonna measure it with a ruler. I'm gonna be out of camera sight, but I'm just gonna measure it and light it up with 4 inches. I'm holding it right here. This is where 4 inches is. And I am going to just cut it. Now you notice I'm just kind of ballparking things because in all honesty, this part is one of the least crucial to be exact. You can, the tolerances that you can live with on something like this is much higher than the rest of the thing. So now I have it, you can see it's uneven, but it's 4 inches and I folded it in half, so I'm only working with 2 inches at a time. It needs to be 1 1/8 this way. So I'm gonna trim it one side just to make it square so both sides are flush. And then I'm going to measure from that side over 1 1/8, but as I mentioned in class, that is a very, very, very subjective number. The 1 1/8, if you go too big, it will slow it down a little bit. If you go too small, you're gonna have a hard time holding onto the projectile. But you can really eyeball this. If it's 7/8, fine. If it's 1 1/4, 1 3/8, fine. Just don't have it like 2 inches wide or only a 1/2 inch wide. Anything that's in the ballpark of 1 1/8 is good. So now I have my piece. It's basically the right shape width-wise. Trim it up so it looks a little better. Hopefully your scissors are better than mine. If you remember from the plan, the actual finished sling looks more like a football than anything else. So let's get a little curve to both these ends. And having this pinched together will help us get this sling so it's actually symmetrical. And if it's not symmetrical, it'll still work. It might not work as good. It might not hold on to the projectile as consistently. So I'm just trimming it off a little bit, One of you guys just messaged me. I'm looking on the side. That's why I'm looking weird. So now we have the sling roughed out. Now you notice it's very inconsistent and stuff, but we're building a replica of a medieval war device. We're not looking for this to look like a, kitchen cabinet where all the lines are perfect and everything. This is something that's very, very much about being able to use it, but not really caring about how much it looks so much. So if you remember from the picture, and again, November 16th is when I shared the plans with the pictures and stuff, the sling has a hole on both ends. And you might be thinking to yourself, you have to cut a hole. You don't need to cut a hole. You need to poke a hole. It would actually be better if you didn't cut. So if I take a pencil, the hole is 1/4 inch or so from the end. So I'm gonna move in about to here and just poke a hole through. Okay. I'm gonna poke it and I'm gonna let the pencil do the work. I'm gonna push it down so the pencil widens the hole out. Okay. I'm gonna push it in from the other side too and just widen it out, and that way I have a hole on both sides. Do that on both sides of it. There we go. You can see right through. You can see my eye. Do another one here. And another one here. So now we actually have our sling with our holes in it. Now we need to attach string to it. The plan calls for the string to be 16 inches. That includes a loop at the end. And for the one that attaches with the loop, give yourself at least 18 inches, if not a little longer. For the other one that we're going to attach to the swing arm, leave it as long as you can, really, because we have to pass that through the swing arm and tie it up. And more stuff is going to get used up in that process than you realize, okay? So cut one that's like 18 inches for your loop piece. A little bit less, a little bit more. We'll tie it off at 16 later. And cut one that's like 24 inches for your other piece. So I'm put my 24-inch piece off to the side. Now I got my loop piece. Here's how you make a loop in a piece of rope. It's a little slip knot that you can untie extremely easily. So I'm gonna hold the loop up here. I'm gonna get like 6 inches of string out of the way. I'm gonna pinch it. So now I'm gonna take it, and I'm going to, just like I was going to tie a knot and pass this through, you know, like the regular old knot, but instead of passing the front of it through, I'm gonna pass a little bit down from the front, and then I'm going to pull it and cinch it. Now this is a good knot because this loop is never gonna see a ton of force. So if we really cinch it down pretty hard, it's not gonna slip on us during the operations that we're gonna give it to do. There's never gonna be enough force to untie this thing. It can get untied. This end right here can freely move. Right now it's pretty tight, but it can still move. But that's to our benefit, because watch this. I don't like where this knot is, so I need to retie it closer to the end or a little bit further down. But one way or the other, I don't like where this knot is. Let's say our trebuchet is not shooting later on, and we need to properly, and we need to shorten the sling. I can just take it and go like this. Just pull on the ends again, and it comes out. So again, here's how you make it. Just like a regular knot, you take a piece of string and you go through itself. So here's the little loop and you pass it through. This is the knot that everyone knows how to make. It's the same exact thing as that, but instead of putting the end of the string through, I put about 2 inches from the end of the string through and pinch it, and then I keep the end out. And now if I want to shorten the size of the loop, there we go. And then once you get it to a size that you want, you can really take and tighten it up. And now it won't slip as much. All right, I didn't like where that one was, so I'm gonna tie it again way up by the end. And when you get practiced up with these, you can kind of control where these end up landing as we do it. I was actually looking for my phone. I'm talking to it right now. If you saw me look around a second ago, I was looking for this thing I'm talking into. Anyways, what do you do with this? Now I just take it. Well, I thought putting a little spit on the end would get it tight enough, but not so. Put a little tape on the end. Make one of those little things like at the end of your shoelaces. It's not gonna be easy to get this through our sling without a little tightened up end. So I pass it through. Even with the tightened up end, it's a little tough. Ugh. Pass it through. And I'm just gonna tie it up, okay? And I'm not gonna tighten it wicked tight on the sling itself. You don't wanna pucker the fabric up here. You wanna leave the fabric so it's a little bit loose. You don't wanna get those creases on the end. So if you look at my knot, you can see up here, it's not that tight. You could actually see a little space through it right there. So you can see my finger behind it. So I purposely did it a little bit loose like that. I could always tighten it up, but a little bit loose like that's fine. So now we have 1/2 the sling. Now we take our 24-inch piece, or roughly 24. Don't quote me on any of these numbers. There's going to be excess string that we'll trim at the end, is basically the point. And you know, if you want to size these things up, if you want to make one of these kind of life size in your backyards and like grow some small pumpkins next fall and toss them, like there's contests, pumpkin shooting contests with trebuchets that they must be a blast to go to. I'm not gonna lie. If you want it, basically you just take this and you multiply it. So if you want it 5 times as big, go through the plan and multiply it 5 times as big. This thing's a foot tall. You want a 5 foot tall one? You could easily go through that plan and just multiply everything by the number 5, and you'll be able to have yourself a life-size trebuchet that you could actually have fun in your backyard with. So here's my 16-inch side. It looks like it's a little longer than 16-inch right now, so I'll have to double check it and maybe retie this knot. But remember, it comes right loose. And here's our other longer one. Next video is going to show us how to attach this to our swing arm. I'll see you in the next video.